Good morning, people of God. It is a joy to be with you this morning. It is Sitting in the Word Saturday, and you may be wondering where I'm actually coming from. I'm coming from right above our narthex here at church, here at St. Luke's, because I wanted you to get a good picture of the stained glass window here at St. Luke's. And there's a good reason for that. Because within myself, I was needing to get back to basics today. Like, I was just needing to remind myself of this God that we worship, and this God that we love, and this God who loves us, right? Who comes to us in Jesus Christ. I was needing just that basic reminder, of who this one is, who was born for us and died for us and rose again from the dead for us, right? And he is our shepherd, right? And if there was ever a time that we needed to remind ourselves that the Lord is our shepherd, I think it would be now, right? I really think it would be now. There's a lot of exciting things that are coming up here, Westmoreland County, where St. Luke's is located. We're going to be going into the green phase starting next Friday. And so what that means is that next Sunday, I think that would be the 7th of June, is when we will be opening up our doors for in-person worship. So not tomorrow, but next Sunday. And it's been, like 3 months, I think, since we've been able to worship together in person. We have been worshiping, right? But that's a very exciting thing that we have going on, right? So next Sunday, June 7th, information has been sent out concerning that, about the different directives and how things are going to be different. So that's an exciting thing, but also it's a little bit, there's a little bit of anxiety around that as well. Want to make sure that we're, worshiping well and worshiping safely and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing that has been on my mind, are the protests that have been going on and the call for social justice and racial justice and all of that. And there is this, our nation seems a bit unsettled right now, and that can be kind of difficult. And I know for me, I shared this with you yesterday, that seeing some of the scenes out of my beloved Minnesota, and the rioting, and the destruction and the looting. I mean, certainly that is not right at all. And yet at the same time, there is this call right now, among people that there would be justice for people. That there are inequalities within our nation, and how do we go about addressing that in healthy ways, right? I mean, that is important for us to look at right now. So there's all these different things that are going on, right? All these different things that are going on that kind of make our lives feel a little bit uncertain. And how do we move forward with all of this? How do we move forward with worship? And then how do we move forward in addressing the issues of our society and that we can have honest conversations and all that stuff? And it's like, okay, there's some uncertainty going on. When I was leaving church yesterday, I just happened to glance up at our stained glass window, and I'm like, there it is. Right there, that's what we need to remind ourselves of. And I saw the stained glass, that's here at church, and I'm like, there it is. There's the answer. That in the midst of uncertainty, in the midst of us trying to, have honest conversations, in the midst of, re-engaging in in-person worship, and maybe some of the anxieties around that, we just need to remind ourselves, the Lord is our shepherd, right? So it's Sitting in the Word Saturday, right? And, getting back to basics, there's nothing more basic than Psalm 23, And sometimes Psalm 23 can kind of be like the Lord's Prayer, is that we've heard it so many times that it's like, oh, there it is again. There's Psalm 23, okay? But if we slow down and listen to it, it can mean all the more for us. And so I thought we'd do that for just a moment, right? We'd do that for just a moment. And what better way to listen to it than by sitting at the feet of the shepherd, right? So just listen to this. I'll make some commentary along the way, but just listen, okay? Psalm 23, a psalm of David, a shepherd himself. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. Right? Listen to that again. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Meaning, he gives me that which I need for today. Give us this day our daily bread. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. Right? Still waters. How we need those right now, right? With the uncertainty, that we need those still waters. And he restores my soul. One of the things about this whole COVID-19 thing is that, I think at times our souls are restless, that we've been unnerved a little bit by all of this. And that, for Christ to hang on, for us to hang on to Christ and for Christ to hang on to us and to restore our souls, to bring us restoration. He leads me in right pathways for his name's sake, right? How do we move forward in all of this, right? With the unrest that within our world and within our nation, right? Be with us, dear God, as we look anew at who we are as a nation. Help us to understand, that we are a cult. We're a nation that's made up of many different cultures and many different peoples. And help us to move forward as one nation. Right? He leads us in right pathways for his namesake. Lead us, dear shepherd. Lead us. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, right? I fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me, right? Walking through the valley of the shadow of death. That feels like these past 3 months, right? In the shadow. That there's been this, and still will continue to be this virus that is looming over us. And how do we move forward, in healthy ways that we can, maintain our health and continue to love our neighbors. Help us to do that well, Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies, right? You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord all my days. Right? Getting back to basics. Psalm 23. I really think that's what we need to do, on a daily basis. Because I think we can get lost. It's so easy to get lost in fear. It's easy to get lost in anger. It's easy to get lost in where do we go in all of this? How do we move forward and bring healing and bring hope? And how do we talk about justice? And there's just all kinds of things going on, right? You can hear my mind. I think you're getting to know my mind. It wanders, and it maybe yours does too. But I think when we get back to basics, that can help calm our hearts. It can help bring clarity to us in how to move forward. So I encourage you to today, sit at the feet of the Good Shepherd for a little while. Contemplate just the basics of faith and the basics of our God. That God cares about us and that God is with us and God embraces all peoples and wants, love and life and God embraces all people. So how do we do that too, So getting back to basics, I think that's what we're needing to do, to remind ourselves of who we are as children of God, who our neighbor is, whoever they might be and however far they might, wherever they might live. That's what we need to do. We need to get back to the basics. And so that's my thoughts for today on this Sitting in the Word Saturday. I want you to, I'm going to read Psalm 23 again, just all the way through, just so I don't interrupt it, because sometimes I get in the way of what God is wanting us to hear. So let me read it again. It's going to be our prayer for today, okay? The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside the still waters, and he restores my soul. He leads me in right pathways for his name's sake. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For you are with me, dear God. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. Amen. So, sit in that today. Sit in front of him today, right? So I will see you tomorrow morning in worship, 9 o'clock. We will be continuing our online presence on into the future, right? And so we'll continue on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. So that's not something just because we're opening up, the doors next Sunday, the 7th of June for in-person worship. That does not mean that this is shutting down, right? We'll continue to reach out and be church this way as well. Okay, so see you tomorrow morning. Blessings.